theCUBE Nation, and welcome back to our coverage of Axonius Adapt 25 here in Dallas. I'm your host, Rebecca Knight, alongside my co-host and analyst, Jackie McGuire. One thing that is just so clear is that there's cybersecurity that's this technical, exceedingly technical and complex thing, but it is also so much about humans, and the humans that are charged with keeping organizations secure.
If we trust statistics, humans are involved in about 100% of cybersecurity incidents, so I would agree.
Exactly. With that, I would like to welcome our next guest to the show. She is Kara Keene, Senior Manager, ASR Engineering at TransUnion. Thanks so much for coming on, Kara.
Thanks for having me.
Super excited to talk to you. One of my favorite coworkers I've ever had, Ed Bailey, is a TransUnion alum, and I know you know him, so when I saw TransUnion, I was like, this is going to be good, because I know they have a phenomenal security team. So
yeah, Ed Bailey is a man. He was the cripple man, and now he's on to bigger and better things, but it's crazy that we both knew him.
Yeah. Small world.
Fantastic.
So I think a lot of people are familiar with TransUnion as a credit bureau, but why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about the organization and about what you do there?
So TransUnion, the first thing comes to mind when I describe it to people is it's your credit scores, but TransUnion is a global information and insights company, so in order to be one of those, you have to collect a lot of data from everyone across the whole world. Which is why I really like my job, my position there, because I know that there's a lot of important data to protect, and we do that on the attack surface reduction team. So I support the vulnerability threat management application security teams specifically. Any engineering and really anything that they need at any time comes to our team. It's really collaborative, and it's nice to work with them.
Yeah. Attack surface reduction almost sounds like an oxymoron to me, because it seems like the attack surface is expanding exponentially as we add services and vendors and apps and contractors and bring your own device. So how do you think about that? So when you think about the attack surface and you think about reduction, what types of things does that usually entail, or like what are the low-hanging fruits that you think organizations should be looking at?
What are the low-hanging fruits? I mean, you make a great point, and that reduction seems like an oxymoron. I think they were careful in naming it not attack surface elimination, because I just don't think that it will ever be at zero. And then we'd have to ask, well, what's next? But the low-hanging fruits for us are the public-facing assets, or that crown jewels. But I think that the bigger problem is identifying, what are my public-facing assets? What are my crown jewels?
Especially a company of your size, I would imagine you guys have a lot of crown jewels.
Right. With we have a lot of mergers and acquisitions, which each have their own hierarchies of assets and products that they want secure. So it's important that we look at our our headquarters as perspective, but also that we work with the M&As in order to facilitate prioritizing their things against our record.
So how do you work, Kara? I know that sounds like a really broad question, but we just hear so much about the fragmented nature of this industry, but also that there's all these silos within organizations. How do you approach working with other departments and getting the context that you need to have the visibility of the attack surface?
Yeah, actually, we're at the Axonius Adapt conference, and I'm about to plug Axonius, but when I was looking at that tool, it seemed like the perfect segue to working with the other departments, because when I first joined security here, it seemed adversarial, maybe to put it nicely, with other teams, as the security barks commands and expects everyone to jump. But and I just noticed that and realized there should be a centralized platform where we're all working out of the same data, and we all have our own abilities to modify or develop things as we want without running into conflicts. So what I try to do is pull people into this tool, because I don't care if you're tagging things. It's not a production tool that the tags matter, like for vulnerability scanning. This is just an aggregator. So I'm able to facilitate those relationships by what do you need? Like, let's build it. What do you need? Let's build it. And by just exchanging different types of, like security's reaching out to, it's like, how can we help you? Other teams are much more amenable to, helping us when we do need it. Instead of barking commands, we're just, it becomes project together, which has been really nice.
Much more of a collaborative and a partnership. Really.
Yeah.
So it sounds like almost diplomacy, like security diplomacy,
Who'd have thought?
using Axonius as the olive branch.
I love that. Axonius is the olive branch. It really is, because it's like, a lot of the times I feel like, in diplomacy is usually give and take, compromise, and, but before it was like, I need this, I don't need to tell you why, we're security. And now it's, how do we do this together? And how do we do each other favors and just move it forward? I love that olive branch comment, yeah.
I think it's worth noting that there are 3 women sitting at this table, which at a cybersecurity conference you would not normally find. I think it's not a secret that we only have about 20% representation in security, depending on what study you look at. So one, I think it's great. I also just spoke to a high school class yesterday that was almost half women, which made me really happy. But I bring that up because in talking about diplomacy, I try to emphasize how important it is, not just to diversify our security teams, men and women, but just from diversified backgrounds. And so thinking about diplomacy, a lot of women tend to bring soft skills with them that the more neurodivergent, and I say that proudly as a neurodivergent person, security team members don't always naturally have people skills. So do you feel like those soft skills and the ability to bring more of a customer service oriented, diplomatic, like let's get to yes attitude has helped you in your career?
I think it's helped me immensely. I mean, I have had great mentors and, I've had great experiences that I think, supported as well, but my ability to, work with other managers and branch out to other departments and, just have normal and peaceful conversations, it gets your name out there, but in a positive way. Mm-hmm. I think that, as a woman in security, there's this very fine line that you have to walk, probably across any woman in management as well, but between, coming off too harsh and being called, certain expletives, or like being too shy and not being seen as a leader, but by working, just having natural conversations and, talking about mutual goals, it's been like really a significant impact in my career, and it's much more enjoyable to work as a us versus the problem situation. Works for relationships and for work. Yeah. So I really think that's helpful.
So you're making it sound so easy in terms of creating these partnerships and this collaborative relationship with other departments, other executives. But can you talk practically about the kinds of behaviors that you exhibit as a leader in terms of cultivating this trust with your colleagues, and in terms of collaborating and getting to yes and being innovative, and let's figure this out together, rather than, as you said, cybersecurity, there is an adversarial element to it, and how you get beyond it. So if you can just reflect a little bit on what you do that makes it work.
The first thing that came to my mind, just off the cuff, is I listen. So, listening to understand, something I work on in my personal life. I'm a gabbermouth, so,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I need to work on that, in general, but that's helped me, across the path and work by, I think when people feel listened to, they're just immediately open to working together more, and then letting them know that you understand the problem, you understand acknowledging the issues, just, that's great affirmation, which, gets further buy-in. And then actually, how do you say it? Walking the walk, I think. So you listen, affirm, and then do what you're going to do. It just gets a lot of trust in people and in a peaceful manner. There's no yelling needed when everyone feels like they're on the same team. That's kind of how I try to treat everyone at work, no matter my personal feelings. Yeah.
Yeah, I try to go into most situations with the assumption that very few people operate with malicious intent, and that it's generally lack of context and common sources of truth that produce more conflict than anything. So again, going back to those soft skills, it sounds like having the patience to
Patience.
Yes, the patience, the understanding, the empathy of, I think having worked outside security as well, and having been the data scientist saying, hey, I want this, and they say, no, you can't have that, being able to really see things from both sides and understand that starting with a common place you agree is a lot easier than where you start to disagree.
Yeah, I would actually extend what you said is like listen to them, and having worked in, I've been in data science before, what's possible and what's not. But I think that, what as a leader, what's important as well is the trust, that when someone says something's not possible, then to trust in that, take that up, and, devise a new strategy instead of forcing people down a path that, is doomed in the first place. I think that really, people's impressions of you as a leader will be better, but also it's better in the long run to just trust the experts. You're in management, but that doesn't mean your ideas are the best or you are, the smartest in the room. I think that the smartest people in the room are the ones on the ground.
Yeah, I think if you're the highest ranked person in the room and you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably really crappy at hiring.
You've not surrounded yourself by the people you need to be surrounded by.
There may be an ego thing there. Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, because I mean the skills that it takes to be a CFO are not the skills that it takes to be the VP of finance or to do accounting, and the same thing in CISO. That, like, we were just talking with another former CISO about how you almost are a politician. To your point, as a CISO, you have to be a diplomat. You have to be, you're kind of stuck in the middle, so you need to be kind of an executive and board whisperer. And so I think it's really important to kind of understand that there's a lot of different skills and that each role within security should be the smartest in the room at that thing.
100%. Yeah.
So what other backgrounds do you feel like you've brought into security with you that have helped kind of how you work with other people and how you see things? So, like, did you do sports? Were you involved in art? Like, did you do other things in school or college that you feel like, because I'm working on the theory that almost everybody in security is musical in some way, plays an instrument, sings, something like that, or is like some type of like art. So what I tend to find is that people who come into security are from somewhat creative backgrounds usually. So were there anything that you could look at from before your security career that helped you succeed?
Help her make her confirmation bias come true.
I have bad news. I'm about to be the counterexample. I mean, you should get my sister up here because she's of the family. She also works in security actually, but she's musical prodigy and singer. But I was always more, I think, I was a sports person. I would do anything to burn myself out pretty much. I'll join all the clubs. I just really like,
including your job.
Yeah.
You'll do it, you'll take one.
Yeah, exactly. I'll do as much as you need until I burn myself out. But really, I just love being in many different clubs and just experiencing different people. So I did, the baking club or whatever, and not great at it ever. Didn't really do much for it, but it was fun, but also I did a test taking club. I didn't know there's test taking competitions, that's real. But really just broadening my horizons. I think that helped as I met through high school, through college, by joining the sailing club at my college. Never done that before, but it's tons of different people you interact with, and you're able to, I'm able to bond with a lot of people because I have a little bit of experience, a little bit of everything,
Mile wide and inch deep.
Yeah.
So context switching, being able to switch context from one weird group to another.
Right.
And then being able to build bridges with people in all kinds of different groups who you may not normally interact with.
Yeah. I just really enjoy people. And I think, people, I was just saying earlier, the talk I was giving, people, process, technology, it's just, for some reason, people comes first, for some reason we think of them last. So I think that, I prefer to think of it in the order we say it. Yeah.
So, Kara, this is the first ever Axonius Adapt, probably the first of many. This company is only 8 years old. What are the kinds of conversations that you're having at lunch and over the water cooler that are most interesting to you that you're going to take back with you at TransUnion?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I've had a lot of really good conversations. I think that the response to my talk that I gave about the ownership problem was bigger than I thought. I thought that maybe just our company had a problem assigning assets or ownership to assets, because it is where you start. Like, oh, we know about all these issues, but now who do I go to? What's important? And realizing that other companies have the same issue. Mm-hmm. First it makes you feel a little bit better.
Yeah. You're not alone.
Right. But it's making me think more about like what other context is missing when we're reducing the attack surface. What am I missing? what factors are important, and I'm having some of those conversations here with what's important to them to identify a crown jewel. That's been really helpful so far. Yeah.
Excellent. Awesome. Great. And then finally, last question, because I know that, as you were saying, there's not a lot of women in cybersecurity, and we want more of them. So what would be your advice for young women watching theCUBE today, hearing you saying, I'd like her job someday? What would you say? Is there a certain thing you should study? Is there a certain...
I think that I have a few core mantras that I like to hold to. And one was what my dad told me, is that, however you feel about being a woman in security, that may be what gets you in the door, but they keep you because you're good. They'll promote you because you excel, and you'll show everyone. But for young people starting, I would say that just live by the worst they could say is no. I've got to a lot of my opportunities by just asking. I'm comfortable asking for just about anything now, but it did take a little bit for me to be like, is this even appropriate to ask? But that the worst they can say is no. I was able to, during my internship, study abroad, because I asked, or, I'm in the position I was in before this, I got it because I asked. And I think as a woman in security, if you want to be noticed, ask the questions that you want to ask, and, do what you need to do to get to that point. But I think the biggest thing is speaking up for yourself. And I was just like,
it may be scary, but summon the courage.
Right.
Push through.
Right.
Excellent. Great advice.
That's what men do. Yeah.
I told the high school kids I talked to the same thing, and that, a lot of people don't get what they want in life because they don't ask for it, and then they don't have a plan once they get it for how to execute. So also make sure if you ask for something, you know what to do when you get it, right?
Right, exactly right. I think, and even, the no's are also valuable as well, because they're really good opportunities. Okay, what's a different path? And I think that they'll take you down a better road than you may have had before. But just don't be discouraged, because I think that even, I studied at cybersecurity in college, and there's comments all the time, but you just, tune them out, stay focused on your vision. It's a lot better when you come out on the other side.
Yeah, I have to say too, I've found security to be, I've worked in retail, I've worked in finance, I've worked in music. Security is where I have felt the most respect from other men and had the least unpleasant experiences. And I try to tell women that frequently, and that this is one of the industries that really can be a meritocracy, and where the level of respect that I've received, I did not feel like I had to work as hard for it as I have in other male-dominated industries.
Yeah, I completely agree. If I ever had a question, I had one team where it was if I wasn't asking questions, and they thought, they'd be like, hey, are you dead? Which is kind of nice, because it encourages you to ask when you have those questions, because, speaking of to the meritocracy point as well, women invented computer science, women are the first computer programmers, and I think it would do us all well to remember, that we are built for this, and that collaborative nature of security can be a really great thing, and just, diplomacy, all of the above are really important.
Well, this was a really badass and inspiring conversation.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Kara. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
You're one of my new heroes.
Yeah, indeed.
I'll take it.
I'm Rebecca Knight for Jackie McGuire. That wraps up theCUBE's coverage of Axonius Adapt. We will catch you next time. You've been watching theCUBE, the leader in enterprise tech news and analysis.